Hello, welcome to the Business Gene, changing your business mind at a genetic level. I am your host, Judy Jewett. As the founder of R.E.A.L Healing Method, I guide spiritual seekers, practitioners, and coaches through an easy, powerful 4-step process to help you achieve the results and the life you were meant to live. I help you cut through the underlying emotional trenches of self-doubt, feeling small, never enough, and just plain fear that block you from living your dream life. One of the tools I use is what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to jump right in and tell you about our fabulous guest. His name is Raymon Grace. He is the president and founder of the Raymon Grace Foundation. It's a 501 charitable organization that focuses on clean water. The Raymon Grace Foundation uses energy work and dowsing to purify polluted water all over the world. He also works on other projects that focus the betterment of the environment and humanity. I want to just jump in. There's so many things I can share with you about Raymon. Make sure in the notes you'll see his website and his foundation. Please go there and check him out to even learn more about what he does. Well, this is my personal experience. I would like to go ahead and share a little bit. In 2016, one of my brothers, this was like early part of 2016, he couldn't wait to share with me a workshop that he went to. He heard this man talk about water and energy and all these crazy things on an extremely popular AM radio station. And with that, my brother signed up to go, I think it was Lexington or Louisville, Kentucky, and do a whole weekend about dowsing and pendulum and changing energy. And he just could not say enough nice things about Raymon. That led me to have sessions with him. The most remarkable thing that took place and transpired is that through dowsing of changing energy, and we're talking about the pendulum, Raymon was able to help me quit smoking. Now, I had spent years smoking, not smoking. I could go 10 years and not have a cigarette, and then I would start smoking again. And I knew that I reached a point that I was getting a knock from God. It's like, you've got to quit, no more. And so what I knew is that once that energy was cleared, I had to do my part. And my part was stay away from cigarettes. Do not think about them and do not have one. So with that, I completely have no interest, never think about a cigarette. And I just have to say, through Raymon's method of using dowsing through a pendulum, it will change your life. Now, Raymon, with that, I would like to bring you on. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the invitation, and very thankful to be able to help you stop smoking. You know, I say a lot of times, I have bought a farm on the money I saved on beer and cigarettes.
I bet so.
you can you can save enough money on things like that to buy a new car, most anything you want. I'm just amazed at how the general public will spend their money for things that makes them unhealthy. I've never understood things like that.
Well,
Of course, I think different from the rest of the world.
You're also one of the few people I know that you clean up your food before you even eat it, knowing that everybody's vibration that was a part of that food is going to affect you.
Yeah, energy is impressed upon matter. That is a statement from Einstein. So I am very particular at places I eat. I don't eat out unless I'm traveling, and it's just a necessity. As long as I'm home, the only time I ever eat out is if I want to take somebody out for lunch, for a business meeting or something. But the people in the kitchen cooking the food, their energy can be impressed upon that food. But here again, we know how we can clean it up. So I have gone in restaurants before, looked around, didn't like the feel of the place, and turned and walked out. It doesn't bother me at all to walk out of a place. It would bother me a lot more to stay there and eat the food.
I bet you have. I bet you've done that a lot. You are a man of tremendous determination and courage, and you stand for what you believe in, for sure. You also have been in the energy transformation world for what, 40 years?
Closer to 50.
50 years of your life, you have been changing energy. I will say, as we go on and talk about this, the one thing I learned from being a part of your workshop is two things. I learned how quickly you change how you feel and what is going on by clearing your energy. And two, the most valuable thing is I learned confidence and faith that when you say it, it is done.
Mm-hmm. Yes, as a matter of fact, I'm on a crusade now to help give people more self-confidence. I tried it in class this weekend without telling anybody much about what I was doing. I'd like to be able to see if I could give you folks a little confidence. I am amazed at what happened. Their faces lit up, their eyes sparkle, they begin to smile. The whole class just started looking, laughing, talking. I wasn't expecting quite that much of a response, but I was thankful we got it.
Wow. And did you, wow, with confidence. And so it was a room full of people, and within minutes, the energy changed.
It changed in probably 30 seconds. All at once, all this stuff happened. It was happening pretty much in the whole class, at least all the ones that were close to me that I saw. And I was just real glad it happened, because I think, well, I'll do it in the next class. Every time I learn something, I do my best to share it with whoever comes to class. Why? Because they paid their money to be there. Most of them travel a long distance, sometimes from overseas or Australia, or they come from everywhere. Well, when people put that much effort into wanting to learn what I have to share with them, I'm going to share everything I can, because that's just what I believe in. I may only have one chance to give information to these people to help change their life. So I don't want to miss that chance. So I put everything I can in the class now, and it's changed probably quite a bit since you were there. But every time I learn something, I add it to the class and make some alterations, whatever, and things are going pretty good.
That's wonderful. I know one of the books that you wrote that I purchased, and plus going to your workshop in person, you give a lot of information. As you say, I can't guarantee it. This is what I've tried, and this has worked. And these are the specific points I clear energetically. And you can try it. And your book of, oh my gosh, the things I learned from your book of clearing schools, and just the greed, and that every emotion has a greed. I mean, every emotion has a spirit. That's is how you taught it also. The spirit of greed. I know in your book and your class is how to clear the spirit of greed. And greed is in water. It's in the banking institution. It is in medical. It is in educational. And when you change it, everything opens up, doesn't it?
Well, let's sum it up in one sentence: that everything is composed of energy, and the intelligent human mind can direct energy. That's the simplest way to say it.
Yes, yes. And I would love for you to share with our audience some of your experiences that I personally call them almost miracles, of things you've just tried and it's happened.
Well, I don't know where you want to start, but you mentioned water, so let's just start with that, and then we can go wherever this conversation leads. But I set a goal about 37 years ago to clean up the water on this planet. I had no clue how I was going to do it, but I just knew it needed to be done because I had read that at that time, only about 2% of the water on the planet was drinkable. And I'm thinking, well, by the time my kid gets grown and has kids, well, are they even going to have decent water to drink? Now, you got to understand, I really didn't know what I was doing, but I had an intention and a goal. Well, quote Einstein again, energy follows thought. Where we put our thoughts, we put our energy. So I put my thoughts into how can I clean up water? Well, at the time, I had learned to energize just a small cup of water, like the size of a coffee cup, maybe, by holding it with my hands. And I learned this from a fellow named Jose Silva, the founder of Silva Mind Control. Um, and I taught for Jose for about 5 years and learned quite a bit from him. He was a very intelligent man. But he said we can only energize the water that we can physically cover with our hands in a container. Well, that was a belief system. What we found was that we could energize a large volume of water, and we really didn't know how much at the time. One of my first success stories that really got all of our attention was up in Saskatchewan, Canada. Uh, there was a well there that had been tested for arsenic, and it had, I believe, if my memory is correct, 48 parts of arsenic per million, and 10 parts per million was the accepted level for the Canadian Board of Health. So I was invited there. I was traveling through Canada at the time, so I was invited to come by and spend the night. And the man took me out to his well and said, "No, you can't pour any water in this because it has a sealed top on it." I said, "Well, that's okay. Let me see what I can do. I'll stay here and I'll talk to the water and see what happens." So when I left, I asked him, I said, "Now, have this water tested at your first opportunity." Well, he did. He wrote me back and said it was down to, I believe, 7 parts per million. It had been 48 parts per million in arsenic, and it was below the accepted safe level now. And I said, "Well, I think we can do better than that. Give me a little while and let's try it again." Now, you got to remember, the first time I'm working on it, they're physically standing over the well. The second time I'm working on it from a distance of about 3,000 miles. So I should have the water tested again. That time it was down to 2 parts per million. And then I think he had it tested again. There was one slight trace of arsenic in the water. So I thought, well, let's try and see what else we can do. So I set a goal of when I do Skype sessions with people in a foreign country, I want to get their attention and I want to do them a favor and be nice to them. So I will say, how does your water taste? Well, almost always they're going to say it's terrible, has a terrible taste to it. Well, okay, you go to the kitchen, turn the faucet on, let it run about 10 seconds, and then collect you about a half glass of water. Come back, sit in front of the camera so I can see you. Now, take a drink of the water. It's really a good feeling to see their face light up. As a matter of fact, there is one film out there right now on my YouTube channel, Raymon Grace YouTube channel, of a session I was doing with a couple in Alaska. Matter of fact, they were in my class this weekend, and they said the water there tasted terrible. So feel free to look at that. I don't remember what the title of the video is, but I don't think it's too hard to find. It's got a different picture on it. I don't remember what the picture is, but it's different than most of them. I think it has the picture of the 2 people that were interviewing me. So feel free to watch that on the YouTube channel and get a firsthand experience of really what it was like. But the water tasted wonderful. They had this real surprised expression on their face. That tells you more than the words do. Just look at the expression on someone's face, and if the face lights up and their eyes get big and they're very surprised, you know it worked.
That is so true. And to change the water and see what is going on, that is amazing. Amazing.
Well,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I have another story. I was doing a session in Australia with a group of people, I think maybe 60 some people, and at Perth, Australia. And the talk show host asked if I could clean up the water for Perth, Australia. And I said, well, how many people live there? And he said, about 2 million. I think that's going to be a pretty good job. And I said, well, where do you get your water? And he said, well, there's a lake north of town here, and that's where they get the water and filter it and distribute to all the houses. Well, I checked the lake, and I said, that lake is terrible. The energy of the water is zero. I mean, I'm surprised it hadn't poisoned people drinking it. It's so bad. And I won't get into all the details, but there was a lot of what he said was demonic worship and pedophilia out in the area where the lake was. Well, energy is impressed upon matter. Thoughts and actions are energy. Water is matter. There was so much evil going on around that place, it literally affected the entire lake. So I had to clean the whole thing up, which included getting some demons out of it. Well, of the people listening, I believe there was about 40 people actually living in Perth. I got 27 emails thanking me for cleaning up the water. Now, that was my biggest water experiment that I've ever done, but it was one of the best ones. So we never know what we can do until we do it. Now, what happens, a lot of people ask me if they can do something. I have a standard answer for everybody. Try it and find out.
One of the things I learned from you, and I do it, is that there could be energy, demonic, dark energy along the highways. And one of your cues is there's accidents over and over and over again.
That's true. And we, to my knowledge, now I don't keep a journal on this. I don't have time to write things down. I go from memory, which is not always correct, but I think this one is. Every place where I have been asked to clean up a highway where there's been a lot of wrecks, in every case, the wreck stopped. Now, the one that comes to mind right off was in Washington, D.C., and it was a lady in my class that, matter of fact, she was a radio talk show host. And she said, there's wrecks every week right in where I live, right outside my apartment. Well, I found out why. There was a lot of evil stuff there. I said, okay, let me get rid of it. Let me know. Well, I'm on a talk show with her later. Said there has only been a couple of fender benders since you did that. Before that, people were getting killed. But it was because of the type of energy that was there. Now let's go back and repeat a statement I made earlier. Everything is composed of energy, and the intelligent human mind can transform energy. That's the bottom line of what I do.
You know, and exactly. And the one thing you keep saying to people, do it. Do it. Why don't you understand you can do it? If I can do it, you can do it.
That's the most difficult thing to get across to people is that they can do something. They think I can do it, but they don't think they can. So I do my best to encourage people. I didn't corner the market on this stuff. You can do it too. And I've actually made films to show people how to do it. They're at my website, RaymondGrace.us. And I show them how to clean up schools. Matter of fact, I want to tell you this story. This was somewhere in Carolina. I don't know exactly where, but the lady was in class back in the spring when I was over in Winston-Salem. And I got a email one day from someone I didn't know that said, I'm a school bus driver. And I'm going to have to quit. These kids are like animals. They have no respect whatsoever. They are rude. I mean, they had every bad characteristics and no good ones. And she said, I'm going to have to quit because I just can't tolerate this anymore. I'm crying at the end of every time I make a bus run. I wind up crying because of the way the kids are treating me. Well, I said, let me see what I can do. Now I'm going to kind of condense this, but I found that the entire school was a mess. I mean, it was an energetic black hole. But anyway, I did a cleanup on it. Now, what I learned was that every kid on that school bus lived in a house that was possessed. I cleaned up the kids' houses. I cleaned up the school, the kids themselves, everything I could think of. She writes me back that evening saying the kids were quiet, they were peaceful. Part of them even hugged me when they got off the bus.
Wow.
I did a patient in Salem. I asked her to please stand up and tell the story. She talked for 15 minutes on how different the kids were that day. You see, there's a lot wrong in this world, an awful lot wrong. And it's that way because nobody does anything about it, because they don't know they can't. Well, I teach classes showing them what to do. I make films for people who can't come to the classes. So I put the information out there as best I know how to show people how to make a difference in their lives, the family, the community, and everything. But putting that information out there is not going to do any good unless people use it.
Right. And, you know, in the beginning, you know, with the dowsing, well, with the pendulum, I know that as a light worker, you know, we're taught how to use it, but not really. You can't ask yes, no, because we influence it too easily. And the other thing is that sometimes you have to practice your method. I mean, I was determined I was going to do it and use it for myself and my clients. And it just took a little bit of time, you know, of practice to get it. And then all of a sudden it's like, wow, things were changing for people and myself.
Well, I did not learn this real fast. It took me 3 years to get a pendulum to move satisfactorily. I just wouldn't give up. But after 3 years, I finally got it going. And since then, I've done some pretty good stuff with it. Now, I want to make a statement here. It is not the power in a pendulum. It's the power in the mind. The pendulum is nothing more than a tool. I'll hold this up here so folks can see it. It's a bullet on a chain. That's what I use. Why? Because I like bullets. And other people don't like them. Well, don't buy them then. So I use what I like. Whether anybody else likes it, it makes no difference whatsoever to me. So if you want to put a little golden heart on the chain, oh, that's fine. But please understand, it has no power of its own. The power is in the mind. It's simply a tool. It's not any more than a claw hammer is for driving nails. It's just a tool.
Okay, so we all can do this. We do it. We have thoughts, we have emotions, and only when I am up against time and I don't have my pendulum, I carry through with it. The difference is that with a pendulum, because it's a tool, it will hold the energy and complete the job. Having a thought, you go from here to here to here to here, and you're not helping the energy to clear it. So it is a tool. That's all it is. And you're right, there's no power in the tool.
I always try to make that real clear because we got too many people out there worshiping a pendulum, and that's a waste of energy. So I will say this: the length of time that a pendulum spends indicates the amount of energy required to correct the problem. So at first, mine started spinning on and on and on, and I finally said, "Wait, I got to do something about this." I said, "Look, I live here on planet Earth. We got something called time. There's never enough of it to go around. So I need you to work faster." And by golly, it did.
I've done the same. It's like, got to go faster. Got to go faster. Come on, I got other things I got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I learned Well, I've learned so much from you, and you're right. It's really a miracle. I liked one of your stories in your book about someone who was they had to they had did an insurance claim, and they were not getting an answer. And you thought, well, let's just see if I can help. And you started clearing the energy of all this stuff. And within a very short time, this person did receive their money from their claim. Now, as you said, you can't guarantee it, but what you did is you opened the energy up that, for people to receive. I mean, that's what you're doing.
I remember that case. That's been probably 15 years ago or longer. And it was a case, well, I won't get into the details of the case, but the insurance company just refused to pay it. And the girl was crying. She's kind of brokenhearted. She got to where she was disabled to work, and her disability insurance wouldn't pay. And I said, "Yeah, they are. I just wouldn't give up on it." If I don't remember the exact figure, but it was over $100,000 we got for it.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot. So one thing, okay,
Now,
so
say something. The first thing I had to do was clear the insurance company. I had to take the greed away from them, because all insurance companies, to my knowledge, have greed. This had a lot, and I think most of them were possessed. So a lot of times, if you're working on corporations and businesses, you have to get rid of the entities, because so many of them have them. Now, they're not going to appreciate me saying this, but that's their problem. I just call a spade a spade. Uh, so many companies and the head of the companies have negative entities affecting them. So one of the first things you got to do is get rid of the entities that are affecting a situation.
once you do that, you take the lower energy, right? And it starts opening up, because we really live in a planet of love, of, light, to bring you everything you want, right? So you do have to sometimes clear the negative stuff to have it, to
Well,
open.
you always have to clear the negativity before you put positive stuff in. For example, uh, uh, Dr. Bradley Nelson, who's a friend of mine, I wrote an endorsement for one of his books, and he came up with 60 negative emotions possible in a human body. Well, I had been finding 60 negative emotions in some people's bodies, but I didn't believe it. I think, nah, I don't, they couldn't be that many. But he actually identified 60 negative emotions. So I think, well, maybe I was right and didn't know it. Uh, so, in most all of the energy clearings I do, people will have a lot of negative emotions in their body. Well, you've got to get them out of their body if you're actually going to help them. Now, one of the major things right now, and it's literally an epidemic around the entire planet, is the spirit of love is leaving people's bodies. It is amazing. And I'm talking about good people. You check, see how much love in this person's body? I get a zero lots of times. Well, what I do then, I find out how many negative emotions are in their body. Well, it's common to have over 20, and it is possible to have 60. Um, and we occasionally find people with 60 negative emotions. When we do, they're not happy people at all. So you have to clear the negative emotions, and then you invite in the spirit of love, and they will change. This isn't rocket science, it's just barnyard logic.
Well, it is, but it doesn't, but the average person, unless they try, right, they're not going to understand that. But that's very valuable information, and I hope people try it to see how many negative emotions, clear it, and then invite the spirit of love. Because we all, I mean, that's
Well,
who we are.
let's help them out a little bit. I tell people, if you doubt that energy affects you, go somewhere that you really enjoy going. Going to a party house, going with your friends, going wherever you go to have fun. And then go to a funeral home. If you can't feel the difference, you're probably a guest at the funeral home. because anybody that's alive could feel the difference.
Well, you just said a very interesting point, is people have to be aware. They have to be aware of energy, of how, wherever they go, how is it affecting them? How are they feeling? And that's exactly, I mean, that's really important. People are shut off. And they need to turn back on. And they can do that really easily by changing the energy, like you just said.
Oh yeah. Matter of fact, whenever I'm working with people, especially school, the first thing you got to do is clean up the negative emotions in the people, the kids and the teachers, everybody that's there. You always have to get rid of the junk before you bring in something good. I mean, that's just common sense.
Yes, yes. Any other stories of things you would like to share that were life-changing just by the experiment of trying and seeing what
Well, I'll get to a few of them here. I always like to tell the story about the alfalfa field because that's what gave me the confidence to do a lot of this. See, success builds confidence, and confidence builds more success. So when I'm working with people, trying to encourage them, coach them along, I want them to do something that they can see that they have won. That gives them the courage to try something else. Well, this story goes, um, and this goes back about at least 10 years, maybe longer. I got a call one day from one of my farmer friends, lives about 100 miles away, and he said, I need some help. I said, well, Bob, I'll be glad to help you. What's the problem? He said, well, I have 20 acres of alfalfa, had a lot of weeds in it. I called the farm supply store to send a truck out with a sprayer to spray it for weeds. The driver picked up the wrong jug of chemicals and he sprayed 20 acres of alfalfa with Roundup.
oh,
And I think, okay, I thought that it just happened that morning. I was wrong. I said, Bob, how long is it going to take you to correct this problem? He said, a year. He said, I got to plow up the field, reseed it, and wait another year to get an alfalfa crop. Well, see, that's enough to bankrupt a small farmer. He was losing his food supply for the cows for a year. So I said, Bob, give me 2 days. Let me see what I can do. I don't know if I can help you, but I would sure like to. Didn't really know what I was doing and didn't have all the facts, which was a good thing. Well, I didn't hear from him until 30 days, and I get a picture. He cut the alfalfa. Well, the alfalfa would normally have grown 2.5 feet, maybe. It was 4 feet tall. At the end of the year, he normally would get 3 cuttings of alfalfa. He got 5 cuttings of alfalfa. Now, what I didn't know was that the field had been sprayed a few days before, and there was not a single living alfalfa plant in the entire 20 acres. If I had known that, I would have said, Bob, I can't help you. But I didn't know that. I thought the field was just sprayed that morning. So I got to thinking, what can I do here? And I said, I'm going to scramble. This is a term I use. I'm going to scramble the frequency of the Roundup and turn it into fertilizer. And that's what I did. And it worked.
wow. I will
And
remember that.
so many people ask me, how did you know you could do that? I didn't. I just didn't know I couldn't.
Yes, you do talk about scrambling the energy, especially of demonic energy, dark energy, scramble it. So it does shake it loose. That's a beautiful story. That's astounding.
I really was glad to come out. Farmers are my favorite people, really. I have a saying: it's bad manners to cuss a farmer with your mouth full. So I just like to help farmers, ranchers, those kind of people. Why? Well, they feed the rest of the world, really. So and they're all of them pretty much good people. Uh, But it's the reason that I could do it was really I just didn't have all the facts. I just didn't know I couldn't. It's like I'll tell you how I learned this. I learned it from a bumblebee. And I had read that due to the law of aerodynamics, a bumblebee could not fly. It had too short, the wings were too short, the body was too heavy. So according to the law of aerodynamics, it is impossible for a bumblebee to fly. The problem is the bumblebee don't know that. He never read the book, so he flies.
Yeah, Bumblebee wouldn't know that. That's right.
Yeah.
That's great. So it's sometimes you just don't need to know everything. You just go with it, right? And make magic.
Yeah, you do the best you can and hope for the best, and a lot of times you'll win. There's way too many people that call me, and if you people out there listening, don't be one of them that calls me and says, "Can I do this?" Because I'm gonna give you an answer right now. Try it and find out.
Yes. Try it and find out. Exactly.
That's my standard answer for everybody that ever asked me, "Can I do something?"
Yes, that is true. And try it. That's exactly it. Try it. Because you won't know. I had a client one time, and I usually would meet a person through Zoom. And this was like her first session, second session, and she was off work this day. She was a nurse practitioner. She left the house to run errands. She pulled the car. She's calling me and saying that she's ready for the session. And I said, you can't be driving while we do this. Well, my way, she can't. So she pulled over, and I said, well, I can't even do what I normally would do, you sitting in the car and being distracted. So I'll just get my pendulum out and I'll clear your whole energy of everything going on, and we'll get this done. And so what was going on is that she felt that her boss was putting more, the doctor was putting more demands on her, and she thought he was just watching her over everything, and she couldn't do anything right. And so we cleared up the energy and everything was perfectly fine. And I asked her several weeks later, how about this problem? She says, it doesn't exist anymore. It got cleared.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes. Anything else you would like to share before we go?
Well, let's see here. Yeah, right here's something I've been trying to get across to people. There was an old German philosopher back in the 1700s that said had some good stuff to say. I think his name is spelled Gothe. He said, "See a person as they are, and they'll get worse. See a person as they could be, and they will improve." So I have a story to tell. I have a friend whose mother is 70 years old who had a brain operation. And after the brain operation, it apparently messed up her nervous system, something she could not walk, not even with a cane or a walker. She just simply could not walk. So the next day, she is walking fine without a cane or a walk. Before the week is out, she has walked 4 miles in one day. What did I do? I imagined taking her hand and running down the beach with her. I saw her as she could be.
Wow. So with doing
That's
that, you
all I
saw her. Go ahead.
That's all I did was imagination. Einstein said imagination is more important than knowledge. That old boy was pretty sharp. He said a lot of good stuff. So, but I imagine just taking this woman's hand and running down the beach with her. All I did. Next day she's walking.
And you did that with the pendulum or just in your thoughts?
Oh, just did it with imagination.
You did it with imagination. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. That's so if we all expect the best, like you say, then you're going to see the best.
Yeah. If people continue to bitch, whine, and complain about the relatives and who they work with and so on, they're not going to get any better. Use your imagination and see them happy, see them getting along.
Yes. Yes. Gratitude produces more gratitude. Yes.
Well, we covered hopefully a bit of stuff here today that people might be interested in, might be able to help them.
Yes, can you go ahead and say, like I said, your links are below this video, the TV show. Can you go ahead and tell everybody how to go to your sites?
Yeah, it's real simple. I have two websites up. One is RaymondGrace.us, and the other is RaymondGraceFoundation.org. And oh, by the way, I have a energy clearing project that I do for people that want to come to the website and sign up. I started doing this once a month, and I realized that wasn't enough. And along about that time, COVID made the world go crazy. And I think, okay, I'll do it once a week. And then it got even worse. So I think, okay, I'm going to do this for people every day. I'm not going to charge them anymore. I'm going to work 30 times as much. Instead of doing it once a month, I'm doing it every morning. So if you want to sign up there, if you want to write me at Raymond at RaymondGrace.us, if you want more information, I can send you a list of some of the things I cover on this. But I do this as a group. I don't want people to think I do this individual because I don't need to know your street address. I don't really need to know your dog and cat's name and all this, because when I'm in class, I work on everybody in the class, and I don't know where they live, and most of the time I don't even know their name, but it still works. Oh, one more thing. I work for a singer in Europe, and I clean up concerts. And when sometimes the concerts, they've got some rough edges. So I go ahead and clean up the entire audience. It works beautiful. So see, you don't need to know people's names or where they're from or things like that. You just need to have a little bit of information to know where to focus your energy. So we've also got a water project going to clean up water on the planet. So we've got I guess a few projects going to get things done, but they're all just really pretty simple. And I've got some videos out there. I've got one video that will show you how to clean up water for yourself where you don't even need me. And I've got a video to show you how to clean up schools. It's called Change Energy, Change Your Life. And rather than call me to get me to do it, get the video, learn how to do it yourself, because you can. That's why I made films, because there's not enough of me to go around. So I thought, well, let's make a film, make it real simple. Watermelon is the biggest word I know, so everything's real simple, and just follow directions. But I created one film to clean up water by just play the video at a container of water, and then taste the water and see how it works. I get feedback on it. It worked pretty good. But I do the same thing if you got kids in school. Take the Change Energy, Change Your Life, play it and direct it at the school. The schools have pretty much turned into jungles, seems like. So we've got methods that will help correct this problem, but there's not enough of me to do it, and that's why I make films to show other people how to do it. Only problem is, I think they're dragging their feet, not really getting it done. So that's why whenever I do an interview, I just tell people this is what we have available. So if you want to try it, it'll probably work for you. So if we're done, I want to thank you for the opportunity to talk to you and to your audience today. It's been a real pleasure talking with you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate you, Raymond, and you have fun canning tomatoes, and you enjoy your day. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for being here. All right. Bye-bye.